Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Giant Conversation. This is Topic Talks. I'm your host, Aaron Klingsmith. We've got a busy show for you today. We're going to talk about a customer at a Chick-fil-A that did something awesome for an employee. We're going to talk about how people can guess your name based on your appearance. We're going to head on into Mark's Multiverse, where he's going to talk about a mysterious jellyfish. And SpaceX is going to, well, they're going to go to the moon. Then we're going to talk about digital doubles. They're going to recreate, or they're bringing back actors to life. Then we're going to go on into Movie Madness Monday. We're going to talk about YouTube's unskippable 30-second ads that we all hate. We're going to talk about Power Rangers and their obnoxiously large budget. We're going to talk about Netflix and how much money they're losing out on. And then we're going to talk about, at the very end, Captain Jack Sparrow. All right here on Topic Talks. Welcome to Topic Talks, where we talk about the topics you care about and leave out the ones you don't.
We talk about what most news sources don't. Media, movies, and the multiverse.
We even invite guests to come talk topics with us.
Come join in on the fun.
Let's get started. Hello, everybody. Once again, I'm Aaron Klingsmith, and joining me today is Mark.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
And then on the phone lines, we have Michaela. Michaela, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. So we're so busy, there's really not too much time to catch up. So why don't we jump right on in to our show? So the first thing that I wanted to bring up today is there's this, I'm a sucker for people who do random acts of kindness. And there's this customer who went to a Chick-fil-A and it was just, he liked the way this kid was, the manners he had. He liked the way that he was very nice. He was very, attentive and things like that. And so he started doing some things for this kid. So the guy's name is Brian Smith. This is the man that went to Chick-fil-A. And he ended up in the end building a house for this kid. It's really a big thing.
Wait. A house?
A house.
He built
a
house.
Well, okay. I don't want to call it building because he bought him a trailer and then he fixed it all up for him. But I mean, well, he could have built it. It looked like a trailer. He might have went inside and redid it. It really didn't go into that much specifics. Looked like a trailer, but like they didn't even have appliance in it yet. He was still kind of working on some stuff. Either way, so his name's Brian Smith, and he said, or I've got a little bit of a quote. He said that there was something about this kid that just stood out. The employee was, I'm trying to pronounce his name, Shaquille Williams. And he suffers from sickle cell anemia, which kind of brings us back to the whole, he started doing stuff for this kid. Well, he started paying the medical bills because anybody who has sickle cell or has heard of what it is knows that there's a lot of medical bills that come with having sickle cell.
I've never actually heard of it.
You've never heard of sickle cell anemia?
I've never. I mean, I've heard of anemia, but I've never heard of sickle cell.
Sickle cell anemia is when you have your blood cells are shaped wrong. They don't carry enough oxygen to your muscles. And it's a genetic mutation. So one of the things that you need is constant treatment. And by constant treatment, I mean blood transfusions, which is expensive. It's not that enjoyable an experience, I'm sure. And it's, you have to find somebody who matches your blood type. So hopefully you don't have a rare blood type or that really spikes up the price. But this isn't something that is curable. At least not yet. There's no way we found to completely replace your blood and regenerate a better one.
Right.
So it's a chronic illness.
Dang.
Yeah. So he has all these medical bills from all these blood transfusions. So this guy started off, Brian, he started paying this kid's medical bills. Because the medical bills were so bad, it was forcing his family to live in a kind of a rundown trailer, not so great of a place. And so once Brian dropped this kid off one day after work, took him from work home, and saw where he lived and decided that's when he kind of made the decision, okay, I need to do something.
Right.
But it was a giant trailer, all brand new appliances. This thing was sweet. It was really good. It actually kind of looked like he took a trailer and added on to the edges. So he might have built the whole thing and it just happens to look like a trailer. Or he bought a trailer, he kind of extended onto it a whole bunch. But he was working with the foundation. He built him a deck. This thing was sweet.
Sounds like it. Like a smorgasbord trailer kind of deal.
Kind of. And
that's pretty cool.
Well, this was all because of a chicken sandwich. If this guy never went in for a chicken sandwich at Chick-fil-A, this would have never happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that's pretty amazing though. I love it when you bring these stories onto the show. About just a random stranger who really makes
an impact.
Yeah, an impact, a real difference for somebody in need. That's really amazing to hear about. But another thing, now I feel like I'm just ignorant, and I've heard of Chick-fil-A before, but what kind of restaurant exactly is that?
I can probably help with that. So I'm from Los Angeles, so there's Chick-fil-A's all over Los Angeles, and some of them are a little bit different than others, but it's basically you go there for chicken. That's pretty much what you could expect. It's like
KFC?
You've got McDonald's for burgers, and it's a little bit less of a bucket style. It's higher end, you should say. But you go there for a fast food equivalent of chicken, except it's got the fast food vibe and service, but it's locally sourced chickens and all of that stuff, which is why one of the reasons it's so popular in California. And they do a really good job. They've got they've had some social issues in the past with their service, but generally speaking, they're a pretty solid company. They're on the same level as In-N-Out, not necessarily in food quality, but in notoriety and their willingness to keep their place clean, in sourcing from local farms and free-range chickens and the ingredients that they choose from being higher quality than McDonald's, per se.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. So it's like a high-quality chicken fast food.
But not like a bucket style. It's more like sandwiches, things like that.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense then. Yeah, I can see why that might be popular. I mean, in the past year, I've taken a bit of a liking to chicken. I used to be a huge steak guy, and don't get me wrong, I'm still a huge steak guy.
I love steak.
But now I'm just, really though, all in all, I'll just eat just about anything you put in front of me. I love chicken, I love steak, I love seafood. I'm on a seafood diet. I eat it.
I was gonna say you seafood and you eat it.
Mm-hmm. I'm an omnomnomivore.
Omnomnomivore.
Yep. So that's just how I am. Yeah, I don't think I've actually seen any Chick-fil-A's as far as I've been, but I'll.
There's not too many around. We're at.
If I ever see one, I'm gonna have to bookmark it so I can come back and try it.
Yeah. Anyway, so I read this story and I said, classic Topic Talks opening story.
Yeah, for real. This is totally right up our alley as an opener.
So, yeah, but I saw it, thought it was a great opening piece, and I thought it would kind of be a good way to get the ball rolling. And now everybody knows what Chick-fil-A is, because I've never been there. I kind of knew what it was. Never been there. Again, there's not too many around where I live, and apparently there's not too many around where Mark lives either.
No, like I said, I've never seen Chick-fil-A in person.
Just go to the West Coast.
Go to where?
The West Coast.
The West Coast. It's all along the West Coast.
Oh, you mean like California? Like California? Yeah, I've never even been on that side of the United States. I've been between Michigan and Florida, and just that string of states there is the places I've been. That's
travel some more.
Yeah, for real. It's on my bucket list. I gotta check out some more places, but hey, I'm young. I got time.
No, if you ever go to California, take Michaela with you, because she knows exactly where she's going.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because if I ever go to California, I'm probably gonna need some advice on where to stay, because I hear it's expensive, and I hear that the roads are paved with homeless people there.
Oh no, it's not that bad. I can tell you where all the great food is. Basically, if you start walking down the street I live, in a couple blocks you're going to run into the best Mexican restaurant in Los Angeles. And then one block down from that, it's the Assyrian Strip, where you get some great Assyrian food.
Wait, the Syrian what?
Market, you get all sorts of food.
It sounds interesting. Yeah, it'd be cool to check out one day. California, it's one of those things that's, kind of on the bucket list. I feel like everybody should go and visit, like, certain states, like, at least once, and I think California is one of the states that's worthy of a bucket list spot. But it definitely hasn't been, like, towards the top of the list for me.
Right.
Well, I can tell you from experience, I've been to almost 40 of the 50 states now, and
Wow.
I have to say my least favorite state by far, and I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody,
Is it Delaware?
but I really didn't find anything interesting about Nebraska.
Nebraska? Yeah, I heard...
I've been to it several times, and I can't do it.
I feel like Ohio would be boring.
Ohio,
I've been to Ohio many times.
They got some good stuff in Ohio. Like, they got Cedar Point, they got Kalahari, and all
Toledo.
that. What else they have?
Toledo, Marion, Ohio, a cute little town.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
There's a bunch of little gems in Ohio, but in Nebraska, maybe it's really well hidden, but I couldn't find anything that was even above average.
Yeah, I heard Nebraska's not super impressive, and I heard Delaware is particularly boring.
Well, I haven't been there. I'll have to go there next.
You're gonna have to let us know how it is, because I just hear that Delaware is just dreadful.
I have a friend that lives in Delaware.
Well, they're probably never mind. I'm not even gonna.
Well, he's in the military, so he lives on a base.
So not really choice.
Well, that doesn't even count. If you live on a base, I'd imagine it's similar in most places. But I don't know. I could be wrong. Yeah. I'd imagine geography still has some role on that.
You would imagine.
Probably a little bit. The quality of ours, maybe.
Yeah. What was it? Yeah, but most of the states I've been to obviously Michigan, because I live here. I've been to Ohio. I've been to Tennessee. I've been to Florida. And, as far as places that I actually went to and stayed, that's kind of about it. I've been to Florida twice. I've been to Ohio a handful of times for, like, Cedar Point and, like, Castaway Bay and Kalahari, all that stuff. I've been to Tennessee because I got family in Tennessee. I've been all over Michigan because I got family all over Michigan. I've been to Canada a few times because I travel with school, and we used to go to Niagara Falls here and there. But really, apart from that, I haven't traveled too much, like, across the states.
You need to get on a train.
Right, my brother. Well, it still doesn't really count that much because he still goes to school in Michigan, but he takes a train to and from campus, every time he comes home for a weekend.
Well, it's still fun. It's still an experience, right? The journey is half the fun of going to all these places. So you want to take your time and just see everything.
Yeah. But either way, I like the idea of traveling someday. I want to go to, like, all kinds of places, like the Bahamas or all those tropical places. I think Hawaii would be a good one. I'm a tropic person. I like the idea of going to all these, hot, sunny, on the water places. Maybe, like, I think it'd be cool to learn to surf, but at the same time, I'm not so sure about that because I have this thing. I'm not sure if it's the same thing as thalassophobia, but I like big spaces that, like, dark. So, like, for example, like the deep ocean, or just being in a lake, period. Like looking down and not being able to touch the bottom, it just freaks me out. It like, literally, I freeze up and...
So you can't swim?
I can swim. I just don't like not being able to touch the bottom, and I don't like not being able to see my feet in the water.
You just don't have that security of knowing that there's nothing underneath you.
Exactly. So it's like, I like the idea of learning to surf, but if I was going to learn to surf, it would have to be in, like, crystal clear water where I could see the bottom below me.
See?
That's a very few places in the world.
Exactly. But either way, I like the idea, but at the same time, it scares the heck out of me.
I've been to Indiana, St. Louis, and then I've been to Lidditz, Pennsylvania. I went to Knoxville, Tennessee, and Nashville, Tennessee.
I've been to Whitneyville, Tennessee, and I've been to Gatlinburg. Gatlinburg is a very good place, except that it's a huge tourist town.
Well, I went to Nashville, which is one of the biggest tourist towns, and I went to the Country Music Hall of Fame, which was one of the best events in my entire life.
Nice. Yeah, Tennessee is a good
Nashville's kinda
state.
crazy.
I like Tennessee. Tennessee's a great place. The driving down there is totally different, though. Like, I mean, there's a lot of mountain driving, a lot of
I
cliff
love
driving.
going through the Virginia mountains.
It's a lot of fun, but you have to be really careful because, like, literally one wrong turn and you're going over a cliff.
It's just if you know what you're doing.
No, well, the areas of Tennessee I've
mean-
been to.
I have to tell you should go to Colorado then, because I lived in Fort Collins, which is north of Denver, in the Rocky Mountains up there. You have not seen mountain driving unless you've been there. They
Yeah.
have roads cut in sheer mountainsides, so you'll have a mountain coming up over the top of your car when you're driving, and a very tiny little river right next to you that drops about 30 feet down.
Oh,
It's a lot of fun.
Oh, that sounds horrifying.
It does sound horrifying.
But
Take somebody who knows how to drive it with you.
I know how to
So that means you're
drive.
coming with us for there too, right?
Yeah, sounds like a
Yeah,
plan.
yeah.
Road
you
trip.
gotta
Road
be very
trip.
careful of elk. They're all over the place, and if you hit a deer, your car will probably be fine. But if you hit an elk, a little less fun.
It's okay. I have a friend that wants to go elk hunting, so we'll take him with us. We'll drop him off, and he can shoot any of the elk that we happen to run into.
There we
There
go.
are a lot of them. They do breed like rats.
Oh man. Well, I'd imagine the hunting out there is amazing. I bet elk
Oh yeah,
is
for
like.
sure.
Is elk technically a species of deer?
I believe so. It's like, I know this isn't probably genetically true, but it's in my mind. There's deer, there's elk, and then there's moose in the scale of size.
Okay,
and
I know.
meat.
Yes.
I know moose is not part of the same family though, but elk. I feel like I don't know.
I feel like elk and moose are a combination of a deer and an elk is a combination of a deer and a moose.
I don't know. I
Because
feel
it's like the in-between size.
it's like a deer on steroids.
Pretty much.
But would an elk still be considered venison? I don't think so.
No.
But
I'm
either
not sure, but I have had elk before.
But- either way, is it good?
Yep, it is the largest species within the deer family. You're right.
All right. Well, then I'll have to put that on my bucket list of things to try. Elk meat. You see, I can't stand the idea of
Elk
hunting.
meat is a form of venison. It's the meat of a deer. Here in the USA, North America, elk are larger than deer species, exceeded only in size by North American moose.
Really?
Yep.
Yes.
Wait, does that mean
They're
no?
huge.
Yep. Well, it sounds like it. Either way, though, like I'm one of those people. I can't stand the idea of hunting. I couldn't kill an animal. I couldn't skin an animal. I just don't have it in me. But I will.
See, you don't
but
skin the animal. You just gut the animal and then send it off, and then they skin it and
Okay.
take the meat off.
Either way, though, but I'm also the kind of person that you could put any kind of like meat in front of me. You could put like deer. You could put, I'll
You
you
mean
could-
venison?
venison. Yes, you could put a cougar steak in front of me, and I would probably try it. Like I would try just about most types of meat, and because I'm like an uber
I think there would be a
carnivore.
lot of people that would try a cougar. Mostly men. But
Oh.
Yeah, very, very clever there.
I
Well, I have
heard.
to tell you something. If you want to try weird kinds of meat, if you've ever had eel and sushi, then you
I
should
don't
try
like sushi.
eating snake.
I don't like sushi. Wait, what kind of steak?
Just snake in general.
Snake.
It's really smooth when you eat it, and it tastes a little bit like eel, understandably.
I've
except
never
it's,
had
not
eel,
fishy.
so. Yeah, no, I haven't tried those. You know what though?
I like my fish cooked.
Yeah, I can't stand sushi.
No. Cooked snake.
Mhm.
I wouldn't eat a snake.
I'm.
Not a poisonous one. Pick a non-poisonous one.
No, I know that. I just-
Snake jerky's really
I'm one of
good.
those.
I don't know. I don't think I would be able to eat a snake.
I don't know. Snakes are a little bit unnerving to me. That might actually be one I wouldn't try, just because, like, literally, I think snakes are cool and all that, but literally, if you put a snake in front of me, the moment it starts moving, I'm jumping up and down like a little girl. I'm not even gonna lie.
Literally,
I'm a little wuss about snakes. I really am.
I'm that way about spiders.
Right, we found your line. Then.
If it's crawling on the ground, it's fine. If it's crawling on me, I'm running around like a little girl.
But either way, though, have you ever heard of Randazzo's?
No.
I guess it's like a market kind of place or whatever. I have a coworker who works there, and he was telling me how they serve like shark there, and like you can get shark meat there, and I'm just like, is that even legal?
Probably
Yeah.
not.
But either way, I don't know.
Actually, it is.
Really?
So I've had shark a couple times before. My determination of shark is that it is completely flavorless. It is the most boring fish of the sea.
Really?
But the difference being that it can absorb spices really well. So if you just pile on spices, you'll really taste it. But otherwise, it tastes like nothing. the most plain white fish you could imagine.
Okay.
So if you're gonna spend your money, you better get some good seasoning packets.
Yeah, I tried anchovies for the first time last month. Just one anchovy at work, and let me tell you, man, that was probably the saltiest thing I've ever had.
So, okay, funny story. Funny story. So there's this guy. They were talking about this on the show a few weeks ago about weird things. There was this guy, and that works at the radio station, and somebody walked in to him eating anchovies out of a can, but
by themselves.
He was eating yogurt with it. Like not like eat an anchovy then eat yogurt. Like eat an anchovy and a bite of yogurt and then start eating it.
Oh. You know what?
Nope.
That might be one of the grossest combinations I've ever heard.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I can't even do regular. I could do the yogurt without the anchovy.
I'm not even a fan of yogurt.
Chocolate yogurt? What are we talking here?
I don't know. I don't know what kind of yogurt it was. All I know is it was just yogurt.
Oh. Nope. Still can't do it. Doesn't matter what flavor.
You don't like the idea of like fruit chunks and anchovies all just like swirled up in your mouth?
Again, I like my fish cooked.
No? You okay.
Anyway, let's kind of move on to our next topic. So the next one is something I read and I found very fascinating. We've been taught all of our lives that you should not judge a book by its cover.
I bet you did. No, I'm kidding.
But what they are finding out that people do it anyway. So,
really?
when people see you've got a bag that has your team for Pokemon Go on it.
And I'm about to quit. Dang it, I'm going to have to get myself a new bag.
You got to get yourself a new bag. But I mean, it's by the things you wear, they're going to judge you on what kind of person you are. Just like by the things that I wear, everybody's going to judge me as a redneck because I got a beard, a camouflage hat, blue jeans, and a country t-shirt.
Right.
Okay? Now that pretty much... I was going to say that pretty much fits my personality.
And people would identify me as a class act. I'm like one of those guys, like, in the winter, there's a lot of times I walk around, with like a pea coat on and just stuff like that. Like I try to look classy and stuff.
And it doesn't work.
It works to a point.
Anyway, so, and they've done research on it, and they've proven that you can usually tell how somebody is by how they're dressed. Now, researchers are kind of looking at it from a different angle. There's a couple doctors that studied from and I copied this straight out, Hebrew University of Jerusalem. That was really hard to say, harder than it should have been. Anyway, and they took it upon themselves to find the answer. Can you guess someone's name based on their appearance? And the test showed that you can. So how it worked is pretty much they gave an example of upon looking at the faces, because they found a whole bunch of kind of test subjects, and what they did is they showed them a headshot and gave them a list of names.
Aaron.
What?
I have a challenge for you. Just from looking at me, what's my name?
Mark.
Dang, it works.
Okay. Anyway, so they gave them a list of headshots, or like a whole bunch of pictures of headshots of random people, and then they gave them a list of names. And so what they said is the observers correctly chose Dan 83% of the time, and significantly above the 25% chance level of random guesses.
Damn.
So the effectiveness held true even when the researchers controlled for the age and ethnicity. Thank you. Implying that something more than just
socioeconomic cues.
Thank you. Again, that was a big word. Is at work. So pretty much what they're saying is they gave a whole bunch of people headshots of a whole bunch of random people and a list of names and said, can you match these names to these people? And most of the time they could. And they took into account people who just guessed and got the right answer.
Really? That's
The really fascinating part about this study is that they took away any clothes or any indication that would separate that would tell you how wealthy someone was. Anything that took away from, names that are very ethnic specific. They took away all of those variabilities.
Right.
Anything that really categorizes a person in a quite obvious way, or maybe stereotypes them. They tried their best to take away all of those elements, and people were still getting them right more than random.
So I have a question though. What was the success rate overall?
It didn't give that.
I mean, like, were they getting it most of the time or whatever? Because, you know, let me put it this way. If you have a room full of, like, you know, 100 people and 20 of their name is Dan, and the guy just goes through every person and says, your name is Dan, your name is Dan, your name is Dan, they're still going to be right about 20 of those people.
No. They would have picked everybody, like, everybody that they picked had a different name.
Okay.
And then they probably put everybody's name on a list, and then a couple extra to confuse everyone. So then that way you can't kind of do process of elimination.
Okay.
But because they need to control as many variables as possible.
Right.
So if they can't control, you know, so like I said, they would have everybody would have a different name. And like she said, they took away all their clothes and anything that would kind of show you
any identifying features.
Pretty much.
So I pulled up the actual study on the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. Some of the words are in Hebrew, so I can't translate all of them. But these images they picked people named Jacob, Dan, Joseph, or Nathaniel, and they did a study based on, okay, one of these people is named Jacob, for example. Here's 4 or 5 pictures, pick the right one. But so each one of these people was in that name range, and they were able to identify it. And I'm trying to find the number that they ended up with. But the interesting part about this study is that they, unlike most studies, they did not pick random people to see if they could guess these names. They themselves were the test subject.
Huh.
That leads me to wonder if it's only true for these people, and if this can be replicated in other studies. I'd like to see that, because that would be very interesting.
Yeah, I don't think it can be proved just by one study.
Well, and that's the whole point. If it can be replicated, then that makes it that makes it actually scientifically proven.
But
if you do it once, it really doesn't have any significance at all.
But this is also one of those things, though. I mean, like, I'm a man of science. Don't get me wrong, but I look at something like this and it's cool, but I don't see much of the point to this one.
There's no point. I mean, it's someone thought, well, could you guess, somebody's name by their, what they look like?
Right.
Well,
yeah.
here's an interesting note.
It's a card
trick. The researchers confirmed that observers in a second country and culture were also able to beat the odds. However, while observers were good at matching,
hold up, we got a problem.
Yeah, I think you're breaking up. 1 second. Uh-oh.
They were not good at matching.
You're breaking up.
The computer's becoming self-aware. We're losing her. Is she still there?
Can you talk? Hello?
Yeah, I think we lost her. Are you able to call her back?
Yeah, I'll call her back.
Okay. Anyways, though, but, it's an interesting experiment and all that, but I think all in all, this one's just, to me, it just feels more like a party trick as far as a study goes. But, it's cool, don't get me wrong. I mean, I like party tricks. And, it's a cool study. But it's one of those ones that I just see, and it just doesn't strike me as one that serves much purpose, not much scientific gain out of it. But at the same time, it's one of those things kind of cool to look at. It's like, oh, if you do this and that, you might get results like that or this, But it's I think it's something that somebody ought to do.
Right.
But it's cool. Just not something I would invest time into. There we go. Let's see if we can get her back. Anywho, but no, it's cool though. I mean, I'm I dig it.
Hello there.
Hello.
Hey, we got you back.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm on my phone now because I don't know what happened.
I was
trying to read a quote for you.
I was about to say you sound way better now.
Oh yeah, I'm on my phone. Much better audio.
Okay. So
sorry about that.
You're good.
No worries.
So the quote that you were trying to read
Yeah, I put it in the chat. Unfortunately, I lost my internet. So basically what it says is that you're able to stereotype names to a degree in your own culture, but when you try to guess names in another culture, you're not so good at it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, I mean, I could probably go to any other culture and I wouldn't be able to guess their names. But, you know,
Yeah.
if you were to
So-
put Marks in front of me and Jacobs and things like that, I'd be able to guess them no problem.
I mean, I could probably only think of maybe 2 or 3 names per culture, if that. You know, with cultural accuracy. I'm you know, not bilingual or anything like that. I haven't traveled around the world by any means. So, I definitely wouldn't be the person to run such an experiment.
Yeah, well, so here's a bigger question. So people are named at birth, usually, right?
Yeah.
So if there's a whole bunch of stereotypes about marks in the world, for example,
Yeah.
then are you growing into your name? Or is the stereotype maybe shifting to accommodate you?
Huh. You know, that is an interesting question. You know what? That is actually very interesting, because you know what? There's been people in my life where, you know, it's like I see a reoccurring name, and among those people with those names, there is a reoccurring feature in their personality or looks. Like,
Yeah, and I think that one of the reasons is because we tend to avoid the names of people we don't like.
Yeah, like,
For example, if when you're a child, anything close to Vanessa, right?
right.
And so same people tend to name names similarly.
Right.
Right.
Or, you know, there was a time in middle school, you know, I probably knew maybe like 10 different Mitches. And, like, maybe like 1 out of the 10 of them was anywhere near likable to me. Or,
Yeah, I could agree with that.
or, you know,
Oh, sure.
or it's like, not me, but I had a friend who, you know.
Right,
for-
a friend.
No, I'm being serious. For some reason, he was attracted to girls named Jessica.
That's kind of weird.
Whatever.
But maybe he just
whatever
maybe
happened.
he just liked the name Jessica.
That could be it too.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it also depends on personal association to a name.
Yep, I think that's very true as well, which raises a bunch of other interesting questions. There's so many more studies that could branch off of that.
Well, and that's why I thought this was kind of cool, is because somebody sat down and said, well, you know, it's been proven that we can, most of the time we can judge someone by what they're dressed in and what they look like, but
Right.
can we judge their names?
Like, you could probably tell just from the shirt I'm wearing that I'm a car guy. I'm wearing my North American International Auto Show shirt.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to advertise your own stereotype, I mean, which everybody does to a certain extent, whether they know they're doing it or not.
Right, like Aaron's sitting across the table from me wearing his Brad Paisley shirt.
Mossy Oak hat with a
There you
Chevy
go.
symbol on it and blue jeans.
Yeah. Talk about driving around pickup trucks with a bottle of whiskey or whatever.
German Shepherd. I guess it's
German
not exactly
Shepherd.
a hound dog, but it's close.
You know, yeah, Aaron, you're pretty country.
Hey, a shepherd could do just as good as a hound could.
Oh, no, I know. I grew up with shepherds.
I was gonna say my dog. There's been a couple times when he's gotten on a scent and pulled April halfway across the store.
I was,
Or actually, he followed my scent through the store. I was working one day, and he followed my scent from the time he walked in the store all the way up to the range.
Really?
He had his nose to the ground and found my scent and all the way up to the range.
That's actually pretty impressive. I have to hand it to him. You see, my dog, he's like... No. No.
Well, one isn't
No.
purebred,
No, he's not. He's a black lab mixed with a rot.
and labs aren't really. I don't think labs really. Tracking isn't in there.
No, not really. Same story with rots, I don't think.
Well, I've met a lot of labs who do tracking pretty well. A lot of my family did search and rescue, and it really depends on the dog. Just like with people, it depends on their attitude. If they don't think it's fun to find people, if they don't have the drive and the energy to do it or the desire to do it, then there's no way that you're going to convince them otherwise.
Well,
Unless you
and
have a lot of food and they love food, or a lot of toys and they love toys, you have to find their motivator, right?
You know, that's certainly true, too. It's not something that you could just teach them to. There's motivation, there's training to it. You don't, positive reinforcement. You know, you even find that kind of stuff in day-to-day life. We positively reinforce ourselves.
like
even
when I get
even
done with the
subconscious-
show, I'm gonna
Treat yourself.
give myself positive reinforcement by going upstairs and grabbing Snickers.
Right. Because you're
For
not
a show well done.
Because you're not you when you're hungry.
Right. That was good. I like that.
Or it's like if you find something you like doing, you find reasons to do it. You give yourself positive reinforcement to do it. Or it's like or Aaron, you were telling me you were talking about, motivating yourself to lose weight in order so you could get that one scooter thing.
Well, that's not working, and if Grandma keeps bringing me Rice Krispie treats, cookies, and Snickers bars.
Dang it, Grandma.
Right?
We love you.
The problem with that is really, in order to lose weight, it's always this. It's not just you that needs to change your mentality. You need to really get the willpower to kind of get the people around you to also help. And getting anybody else to change their way is always so much more difficult than just yourself.
Well, and April's dieting with me, and that helps out
great.
a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay. So kind of reeling it back in, I think it is time to get to our next segment, which is... Welcome to...
The Multiverse.
I still never get tired of hearing that. It is just so great.
You caught that, right, Michaela?
Michaela?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I'm just double-checking, make sure everything's working fine.
So, this week on Mark's Multiverse, sorry I couldn't be here last week, by the way, Aaron. I had just a lot of factors clash together in an unfortunate manner.
You just want to sit home in your pajamas.
I was...
Onesie.
That is not the case. Anyways.
You're right. Sorry, Michaela. Your onesie.
Okay, now you're... No, I'm kidding. No.
I'm getting closer, aren't I?
No, you're not, actually. But anyways, so this week on Mark's Multiverse, got a couple cool things. One of them is a new species that we've discovered, which is always nice in a world where we're constantly hearing about new species becoming endangered or extinct, which makes me angry. But, this new one that we've discovered is, where most of our new species that we discover is, which would either be usually a rainforest or the bottom of the ocean. This one being bottom of the ocean.
Or in outer space.
I don't think we've discovered any types of species in outer space. We haven't discovered any kind of life yet.
You don't know that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true because,
Actually, we
Area
do know
51.
That. They've discovered bacteria, but that's about it.
Okay, no multicellular.
I have discovered a madman in a blue box.
Multicellular. I'm not sure if that's the correct term, is it?
No, it is. It is.
Yeah, we haven't discovered much as far as multicellular life or intelligent life. It's mainly single-celled organisms. But,
I have discovered a madman in a blue box.
Okay, well, we don't actually live in the world of Doctor Who, Aaron.
You don't know that.
You're right. You know what? I guess you're right. I don't know that for sure. But either way, so the species that I'm talking about is an ethereal cosmic jellyfish that was spotted in some of the deepest reaches of the ocean, hovering near the previously unexplored seamount. The luminous sea creature, which may be a completely new species, was spotted by a remotely operated underwater vehicle roughly 9,800 feet below sea level in a remote region of the Pacific Ocean near American Samoa. The creature was discovered at the previously unexplored seamount called Uto Seamount by the members of the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration 2017 American Samoa Expedition. The creature was initially identified as Benthicodon hyalinus. Still, there's a possibility that the jellyfish could be a species previously unknown to science, but specimens would need to be observed under a microscope and using genetics to know for sure. What is known about the otherworldly creature is a member of the Hydromedusa family. Hydromedusae are known for having canals running vertically along the interior of the bell, as well as the gonads that were attached to these canals, and they often have two sets of tentacles. What is excellent about this observation is the perfectly relaxed arrangement of the two sets of tentacles. We think in position to allow optimum feeding in this mid-water environment at approximately 9,800 feet or 3,000 meters. The deep-sea dweller was spotted during the Okino's ship's 2017 America Samoa expedition, which aims to catalog the mysterious sea life lurking in the incredible ocean depths in a relatively unexplored region of the Pacific Ocean. Through excellent video observation with ROVs, we can learn much about the animals in the midwater and what they're up to when we can catch them in an undisturbed state. As we collect more observations like this one, we can bring in and get a clearer picture of the life in the midwater, perhaps the largest biome in the planet. This isn't the first time that members of the Okeanos expedition have discovered otherworldly creatures deep in the ocean, though. In 2016, the NOAA team spotted a glowing tentacled disco ball-like jellyfish floating near the Mariana Trench, the deepest spot in the ocean, which I think would be an incredible place to explore.
Yes.
But, it's like I said, most of the time when we discover new species, it's usually in the deepest parts of the ocean or the deepest parts of the rainforest. Those are the most largely unexplored areas of our world, because some of those places we can't even get to alive. Like the pressure down that deep, a human being can't survive. Or without protective measures, you wouldn't even be able to get to the heart of some of our rainforests. Hence all the deforestation, sadly.
Right.
We tear all these rainforests down for land so we can expand. And here it is, with each rainforest we tear down, we're potentially causing extinction for hundreds of undiscovered species. We've caused extinctions for species I'm sure we haven't even discovered yet, which is really sad to think about.
And we may never discover them.
No, we'll never. But unless we uncover remains, like with the dinosaurs, there's a good chance that we won't discover a lot of this. What are your thoughts, Michaela?
Well, I'm looking into this creature, and something interesting I found is that its main characteristic of being a hydromedusa is that it has a non-cellular mesoglea, which means that whole bubble part on the top of a jellyfish, the part that in Finding Nemo they bounce off of, that's a non-cellular. So that is an interesting term to me, because there's not many things that are categorized as non-cellular, but that explains why this is a mostly translucent creature, and I'm trying to figure out what exactly that entails, because in looking it up, it seems that it's only 2 cells thick, and it's a very permeable substance. Could you imagine having the top of your head be permeable by most substances in water?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That'd be a little weird.
Yeah, yeah. It's almost like, everything's just flowing right through your head. It's almost like a ghost kind of effect. But, when you look at the article...
and that's kind of how it eats.
Yeah, that's how it eats. It's almost like filter feeding. And,
exactly.
It's cool, too. Like, if you looked at the picture, you probably noticed this thing looks almost like a spaceship, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
But, that's the case with a lot of jellyfish, species. They glow, or they're clear, or they have some kind of very interesting shape. I went to the marine aquarium up to Great Lakes Crossing once, and, they have some jellyfish there. And, some of the jellyfish,
Talking about sea life?
Yeah, the sea life aquarium. And, they have jellyfish there and all that stuff. And some of these jellyfish, they look like a clear, bioluminescent version of a sand dollar. And
exactly. There's so little substance, and yet it's an entire organism. It spreads out very far, but it's so thin and hollow and permeable that I'm amazed they even found this.
Exactly. And, it's really crazy because we have all these kinds of species out in the ocean that are just like that. And, it's like, we have it all in all kinds of shapes and sizes, too. We got tiny little jellyfishes that are no bigger than a penny. And then we also have species like the man-o-war that can spread out for large amounts of distances. And, I've heard... I'm not going to try and take it morbid or anything like that, but I've heard horror stories about the man-o-war jellyfish. People getting tangled up before they knew that they were even near. So it's like, the man-o-war is a frightful creature. I heard it's one of the most dangerous, types of organisms that you can encounter out in the ocean. But, there's just so many species, and especially when you get down to our deepest depths like that, we don't even know what's down there. We have all kinds of strange species of fish, like, I'm sure you've heard of stuff like the viper fish and the anglerfish. And, we also have other species, too, that, there's even species that we know for a fact exist, but we've never managed to capture one or see one live. Like, an excellent example of this, which is one of my favorite examples of it, is the colossal squid.
Yeah. Well, part of the reasoning for that is because something that lives in the deep sea, if you tried to see
Uh oh, I think we're starting to lose the connection a little bit.
Oh no.
Wait, there you go. I think you're good again. Hang on. Go ahead, keep talking.
One of the reasons why you can't bring those animals, or excuse me, fish up to sea level is because they'll explode. Their cells can't handle that increase in or decrease in pressure, I should say.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the same concept with space. You know, with the pressure difference up in space, if a person were to be out in the middle of space without a suit, their blood would boil and their body would expand, just because of the pressure difference. But you know, it's like the same story with creatures down of the deep. You know, they are accustomed to this lower sea level, not sea level, but this high pressure, dark environment down towards the bottom of the ocean, and it's high pressure to the amount where it would crush a human being. But these creatures survive. They thrive in this environment where no man could survive. And, you know, to have such a pressure change as to come up to the surface like that, they can't survive it. It's not possible. So it's like, of course, you know, they're not going to last very long if that's the case. Hence, you know, anytime we see these kinds of things, it's because they're washed up on the shore. But, which, you know, at the same time, it's, you know, it's sad, but at the same time, it's also a little comforting, because can you imagine if a colossal squid could survive near the surface of the ocean? That would be scary. That would be like the movie The Beast. I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard of that movie, but it's literally about a giant squid that attacks a town. It's basically like the squid equivalent of Jaws.
I am kind of curious, though. If some of these new creatures that we're finding, if we can imitate that and make it so that we can create something where we can go down to certain depths of the oceans and things like that. I mean, we've got mechanical things that can go down.
Yeah, our unmanned mechanical subs.
I was going to say, but they're working right now. I heard somewhere, and don't ask me where I heard it, but I heard somewhere that they were trying to take the wings of kind of like a dragonfly or something like that, and trying to work that into kind of plane in aerodynamics.
Yeah. Because
the dragonfly, actually, I heard that when I went to the planetarium. They were talking about things we can and can't see. And they were talking about how we need to try to harness the motion that a dragonfly has, because they're one of the best flyers. They can hover, they can go forward, backward, sideways, upside, but it's because of the motion of their wings.
Yeah, they're multi-directional flyers.
So I'm wondering if we can do something like the more creatures we find, the more innovative we can get with some of our technology, trying to copy some of the aspects that make them unique.
And it's like studying the hydrodynamics of certain, aquatic life. You know, there's so many different types of creatures out there, and a lot of them have different forms of propulsion. I mean, like, there's fish, you know, they got their, dorsal fins, they got their tail fins, and, all these, different types of fins. Then you also have, like squid, which certain squid, they swim by using these dual singular, I don't know the exact correct term for it, but they're like these flaps along the sides of their bodies, and by squabbling these flaps, like kind of like a stingray or a manta ray, they can propel themselves through the water like easily.
Right.
So it's like, studying hydrodynamics of such creatures, it's there's a lot to be learned. And, I think it's good to be able to have technology that can get down to such depths. That way we can discover and hopefully potentially study these creatures. Because like I said, or no, not like I said, like Michaela said, after being brought up to the surface, the pressure difference would be enough to kill most creatures. So,
so studying them in their natural environment is key. And it doesn't really matter how they look, because as you know, most of the deep sea creatures are hideous or transparent. But
or some
it's
creepy
what they
or
can
cool.
offer us in terms of nature has always had a way of being a little bit more inventive than we are, right? We've been stealing ideas from nature to put into engineering for all of time.
Oh yeah.
And that's another thing. If we can make a technology that can go down there without humans, we might be able to find the technology that can take us down there.
Right.
With humans.
Well, like I said, they've got a certain aspect about them that if we can find a way to harness that we could be able to swim down to whatever depth we want, because the more creatures we find, further and further we go, the better and better and better our technology can get, because we can try to harness, try to harness the fact of how these creatures can live so far down. And, even if it's just advancing our technology so we can go further and further and further, because even right now our technology has limits.
Yeah.
So if we take, what we're learning from this specific creature and creatures that we find around the same area, and try to harness that and at least put that into a robot that we can send down and control, so we can learn more down deeper. And I feel like the deeper we go, the better our technology gets. And then I feel like that one day would lead us to where we could actually live, or we could actually go to the bottom of the ocean if we wanted to, or we could, kind of, the sky would be the limit at that point, or the bottom would be the limit.
In order to go down there and be able to survive, though, we would have to find some way to compensate for the pressure change, though. I mean, even then, certain submarines, it's like, just because the hull of the sub isn't being impacted by the pressure doesn't mean the inside isn't. I mean, it's like the same as being on a plane. You go up in the air, and the pressure affects you differently. If you ever notice when you go, I haven't noticed it personally because I haven't been in a plane since I was just a baby, but I've looked into it a little bit. And if you look at a plane window, there's like a tiny little hole in each window, and that's to allow for a pressure change. That way, it's not like a.
Trying to think of the word.
I'm trying to think of the word, but it's, just...
Well, it's the rate at which you're changing that pressure, too.
Exactly.
So one of the things most noticeably with space and rockets is that you're changing pressure incredibly fast. And that's not something that
the human body is prepared to handle.
Yeah, so maybe going to the bottom of the Marianas Trench and figuring out the technology to do that might help us handle going to the moon. It's a weird correlation to draw, but it is possible.
Well, it's all pressure related. I mean, like we've been proving, or like we've been saying, our body can only handle so much pressure.
Well, with NASA and SpaceX, a lot of the experiments they do to experiment with pressure effects on a shuttle or certain technology is they'll submerge it in water, to test these theories they have or experiments or the seals or technology, the stuff they're working with. They'll test it in a separately pressured environment,
right?
For in a specialized pool that they have. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah. No, I think this creature is really kind of cool. It does really look weird.
It does. It looks like a UFO.
I looked at the picture. It looks weird.
It looks like a spaceship, if you ask me.
But like I said, there's something about how it looks that's going to be the key to finding, out how to get down to the depths that they're at.
There was a term that Michaela used, and
there's a lot of big terms that Michaela uses.
Okay, well, there was the one you were mentioning about how kind of like filter feeding, like it just kind of like flows through them. And I've heard the term before.
So a lot of jellyfish have bivalves. They have two valves where they really suck in the water and they filter it through their system. And that's not just with jellyfish, it's with a lot of creatures that are that deep in the ocean. Is the way that they filter water is it's constantly flowing through them. It's in this constant process of they're just going through the water, and as they go through the water, they just grab anything they need.
It's almost like a hot air balloon effect.
A little bit, yeah. They catch, it's like a filter in that sense. They catch everything they need and use it to go and do what they need live.
Yeah, and I think that's really cool, and I think that's efficient, and I think we could learn a lot from that. If we could learn a way to imitate such a process, I think we could achieve a lot from that.
Yeah. Once we can study this creature, it should be pretty interesting.
Definitely. So, speaking of sending people to places that are usually not, having people sent to, I'll bring us right into our next topic.
I feel like you could have segued into that better.
Yeah.
Back when we were talking about space.
I feel like I could have. I tried, and it kind of came out weird.
You failed.
But it's okay. Either way, SpaceX is announcing plans for a new moon mission in 2018. According to Elon Musk, you guys have heard me talk about him before. SpaceX is planning to launch 2 private citizens on a flight around the moon next year. a bold mission that will be the very first to carry humans beyond low Earth orbit since the Apollo moon program. Musk declined to say who had booked the flight, how much they were paying, or even specifically their gender, and he made it clear that if NASA wanted to send astronauts on such a trip, the space agency would have priority over any private citizens. But the high-tech entrepreneur said he fully intends to launch the mission, and probably more like it, as part of his company's long-range goal is to send humans to Mars at some point in the future. This is basically Elon Musk and him and I have this idea that I like. You know, I like the idea of us colonizing Mars. But Musk stated that we've been approached to do crewed mission beyond the moon for some private individuals, and they're very serious about it. We plan to do that probably in the fourth quarter of next year. That would be on a Dragon 2 spacecraft and a Falcon Heavy rocket, which is due to do its maiden launch this summer. SpaceX is developing the crewed Dragon 2 capsule under contract to NASA to fly agency astronauts to and from the International Space Station. Boeing has similar contracts to develop a similar ferry ship to support space station operations and help end NASA's reliance on Russia's Soyuz. The first unpiloted test flight of the Dragon 2 spacecraft is targeted for late this year, with the first crewed launch of the first half of 2018. The Government Accountability Office has cast doubts on these target dates, but SpaceX managers insist that they can keep the program on track. For the moon mission, SpaceX would launch a Dragon 2 atop a heavy-lift Falcon 9 rocket made up of 3 core stages strapped together, generating 5 million pounds of liftoff thrust. First flight of the Falcon 9 Heavy is planned for later this summer. By the time the moon mission flies, SpaceX will have tested the Falcon 9 Heavy as well as the Dragon 2. The passengers on the lunar flight will be launched on a free return trajectory, shooting out past the moon and using lunar gravity to pull the spacecraft around for a high-speed return to Earth. This would be approximately a week-long mission and would skim the surface of the moon, go quite a bit farther out into deep space, and then look back to Earth. We're guessing probably distance-wise maybe 300,000 to 400,000 miles. Depending on how one does the math under the company's commercial crew contract with NASA and the number of the expected flights by SpaceX and Boeing to and from the space station, that works out to around $58 million a ticket. I mean, I don't know about you, but that's kind of a lot of money for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. How much SpaceX might actually charge for the moon mission is not yet known, though. But
Too much.
But Musk views the flight as more of a business opportunity. It's in keeping with his long-range goal of sending humans to Mars. He already plans to send an unpiloted Dragon to the landing on Mars in the 2020 timeframe. He said the flight would be perhaps riskier than a typical space mission, but he said the 2 passengers would be well trained for emergencies. The free return trajectory will minimize the need for critical rocket firings to keep the spacecraft on course, utilizing the same sort of gravity assist from the moon that helped the Apollo 13 crew make its way back to Earth. SpaceX thanks NASA for the commercial crew contract that is financing development of the Dragon 2 spacecraft. The Falcon 9 Heavy, the most powerful rocket since NASA's Saturn V, is being developed by SpaceX with company funding. Once operational, Crew Dragon missions are underway for NASA, SpaceX will launch the private mission on a journey to circumnavigate the moon and return to Earth. Liftoff will be from Kennedy Space Center's historic Pad 39A near Cape Canaveral, the same launch pad used by the Apollo program for its lunar missions. I feel like most of the launches that they do, that they try to throw heavy significance on, they use this Pad 39A. Every time that I read about one of these stories, I feel like 80% of the time they're using, the Cape Canaveral 39A pad. Either way, this presents
probably their favorite.
I think there's some significance to it, considering they did the original moon landing mission off of that. But either way, this presents an opportunity for humans to return to deep space for the first time in 45 years, and they will travel faster and further into the solar system than any before them. I mean, kind of pricey, but can you imagine? That would be one heck of a trip, being put on a shuttle, being launched past the moon, turn around to see not only the backside of the moon, or the dark side, so to speak, not only seeing that, but seeing Earth, and just seeing all kinds of stuff that's past you. Like, you're probably farther than Earth than most people have ever been. Well, obviously most people, but there's only a very, very, very small percentage of people that have been farther than that, if any. So, really, quite an undertaking.
I mean, if you're done traveling the world as we know it, traveling from state to state, country to country, might as well take it to the solar system, right?
I mean, if you have the $58 million per ticket to spare, hey, why not?
I mean, I'm sure they've been everywhere they want to be within the Earth. Might as well step it up, right?
Exactly. But
and throw a little bit of money this way, because I'm broke.
Right.
Share the wealth.
But still, though, it's one of those things that are, cool. It's like another step in the right direction. One of the things that I heavily agree with Elon Musk on is his idea of, colonizing Mars someday. SpaceX is up there with NASA at this point. They are two of the biggest space programs in the world. And the idea that we're focusing on that is one of those things that just tickles my fancy.
It tickles your what?
I really, really like the idea of us colonizing other planets, because you guys have heard me talk about this before. If mankind truly wants to survive in like the long run, like beyond our solar system, we're gonna have to. Colonizing another planet is the only way that mankind is gonna survive, because someday, first of all, if we manage to survive long enough for the sun to actually go red giant, when it does go red giant, it's gonna expand so big that it's going to consume all of the solid planets in our solar system, and the heat pulse from it is probably going to burn up all the gas planets.
Okay, that's kind of scary.
Well, we'll be long dead by then.
One very key thing by this whole adventure is, if you plan to colonize Mars, you're going to have to learn how to terraform. And
Definitely.
I feel like the advances in technology that they would need to accomplish in order to terraform Mars could then be turned around and used here to help save our planet. So I feel like there's kind of a double benefit there that
Exactly.
really is being not really looked at.
It's like, I love the idea of colonizing another planet, but at the same time, if we can manage to take a planet that's currently non-hospitable and make it hospitable, imagine the things we could do with our own planet.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's, like you said, it's a double benefit. It is the opposite of a double-edged sword. It is a double-sided shield.
It's a double-sided.
It's a foam noodle?
Yeah, I guess so to speak. But really, though, I mean, learning about this and, improving our technology to be able to accommodate such a project and research, it can only bring massive improvement to our species. And, even then to eventually go beyond Mars. Because, like I said, when our sun does go red giant, it's going to consume all of the solid planets in our solar system. So eventually, at some point, we are going to have to move beyond our solar system. We have a whole galaxy to explore. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, there's a whole universe out there. Granted, to spread beyond a galaxy is an entirely different ball game than, exploring more of our galaxy. But, going beyond it is totally different. But still, going beyond our solar system is the second step. The first step being expanding to another planet. And really, there's a lot to it, but there is so much to be gained.
Yeah, there's a lot of implications, particularly when you think of science and math. A lot of the science and math that we have here now is so relative to our planet and gravity and everything as we know it. All the formulas we have work for Earth. They don't necessarily apply to Mars, Mercury, Venus, or all the other planets. I mean, you have to really rethink a lot of basic stuff that we haven't had to redo in a really long time if you're going to Mars. And so you have to find those revolutionary geniuses all over again for space travel, which I'm looking forward to, because I think it'll really push for a new renaissance, so to speak, not necessarily of literacy, but of understanding math in a more universal sense.
Yes, universal. There we go. That's better. I like that. Yes, a universal sense is, yes. Oh, man, I had something I wanted to say, and, I just got so...
Escaped you.
The whole universal thing was great. Either way, though, Aaron's giving me a little wraparound on this one, so I'm going to move on to our next story, which almost kind of coincides with our next segment as well anyways. So, Aaron, I'll leave it up to you if you want me to consider this Mark's Multiverse or Movie Madness.
No, you're good. Keep going.
Okay. Well, I'll kind of get this one going a little bit. That way we can get into our next segment. But digital doubles, bringing actors back to life. You guys have heard about this. They started the first big time using this was for Paul Walker in the last Fast and Furious movie.
Okay.
Because he passed away before they could finish making the movie. So they did some digital recreation of his face for the rest of the movie. And then we saw it again with Star Wars Rogue One. It was a big hit in the box office, exciting story, thrilling effects, gifted actors, including one who's been dead for over 20 years. That's right, British actor Peter Cushing was there, reprising his role as Grand Moff Tarkin, even though he passed away in 1994. Now, how did they do that? An actor guy, Henry, performed the new scenes, and then the Oscar-nominated special effects engineers replaced his face with Peter Cushing's. And how did the computer know exactly what Peter Cushing's face looked like, down to the tiniest detail, is that where basically this guy, his name is Paul Debevec, comes in. He invented the light stage, which sits at in his office at the Institute for Creative Technologies at the University of Southern California. Surrounded by more than 10,000 LEDs, the subject is photographed with about 20 high-quality DSLR cameras, producing a series of high-resolution photos from different angles to reconstruct a 3D model of the subject's face. More than 100 famous actors have actually stood on this spot to be scanned for movies, including Angelina Jolie, Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, Sigourney Weaver, and Dwayne Johnson.
The Rock.
Yes, Dwayne The Rock Johnson has done this, Aaron. Once the actor has been scanned into the light stage, engineers can digitally insert him or her into scenes, even if that actor is unavailable. Much older, younger, or deceased, even. That's how actor Paul Walker was able to appear in the Fast and Furious 7, even though he died partway into the filming. They have the actor make a succession of about 50 different facial expressions, and that produces all of the different motions of their face. But we also can record a facial performance from all these different angles, and then create a digital performance of that character that does exactly what they did in the video. The light stage might have cost several $1 million 10 years ago, but today you can build a person scanning setup with parts you pick up at the hardware store. Just ask Ari Shapiro. He runs the character animation and simulation research group in the USC. He's been developing a human scanning system that uses $120 cameras sewn into a shower curtain purchased at Home Depot. The subject steps into the shower, and presto, in just minutes, Shapiro has a digital version of you, which he can animate. Now,
That's crazy.
It is, and when I was reading the article, there were a couple cons to this too. Like, they were talking about how people could do such a thing to imitate, for example, a political figure, and make it seem as though they're saying things that they haven't actually said.
DMZ, here we come.
Right. So it's
it starts with the voice. People have been able to imitate voices by recording voice signatures and all this other stuff. And now you can imitate the way they look in a digital format. That's incredibly powerful and incredibly concerning. But it's both cool and a little bit causes me to be nervous.
Well, here's what I'm nervous about. Okay, so you're doing this with actors right now. Mm-hmm. The problem I foresee is, okay, you sometimes have directors or producers that want a certain actor for this role. Okay? Well, if that actor turns down the role, what's to stop them from taking the digital copy of this actor or actress, putting them in the movie anyway?
That's where a legal standpoint is going to be. It's going to be like copyrights to a song, or an album or anything like that. I feel like the next step in this is going to be copyrights to your own face,
which shouldn't be a thing. So the whole internet right to privacy has led people to have to copyright their own bodies to get videotapes, unflattering and horrible videotapes of themselves repealed off the internet. If people have to copyright their own faces and their own bodies just to make sure that somebody doesn't abuse it, that causes an even bigger problem.
Definitely,
right.
Definitely. Like, yeah. with this kind of technology, there are a lot of pros and cons. I mean, some of the pros is, we'll be able to see people who we didn't think we'd be able to see in certain movies, but at the same time, there's also going to be the worry about somebody quite literally hijacking your face.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, imagine the scandals. Imagine just all the things we're going to hear. Yeah, TMZ or
come on. You think about it. TMZ made an uproar with a poorly edited video. What do you think they could do with somebody's face?
Mm-hmm. Or it's like you see all these, imagine somebody doing this with political figures. Give it time. We're not even going to be able to trust watching a video stream. The only thing you're going to be able to trust is what you see with your own eyes in person.
And
let me ask you this. Is this slander or libel? Is this even qualify as slander? Because what do you call this level of defamation? If somebody were to literally steal your identity, but not in a physical sense, how would you handle this in courts? It hasn't exactly been addressed yet.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's definitely going to be some sort of protocol or legal action to take in such scenarios to even be allowed to use this kind of technology. You would think.
Yeah, new legislation needs to happen, but I'm worried that it's not going to happen. New legislation isn't going to come about until it's already too late.
There's definitely going to be, as long as this takes a big thing. And, here's the thing, too. They were even saying you could make it super cheap. I feel like there is going to be some points where this is going to become a problem, and they're going to have to do something about this.
Well, I mean, you think about it this way, okay? Music is copyrighted,
Mm-hmm.
but people get free music. Movies are copyrighted, people get free movies. If we start to get copyrighted faces and kind of do that, there's going to be a site where we could get those for free.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. You're not going to be able to release that to the public. It's not like, It doesn't get released. Like,
it gets, quote-unquote, leaked.
It's like, hey, I'm going to make a whole movie with Dwayne The Rock Johnson in it, and I'm going to, try and make it an actual thing that goes into theaters. Well, you know what? It's not going to make it as far as theaters because, here it is. If you didn't pay the copyright for Dwayne's face, well, you're going to be facing some legal trouble.
Yeah, but the fact that they can make that video is just scary.
The point is, as far as a copyrighted face goes, or copywritten face, the purpose for having such a thing is going to be for release to the public. And without copyrights to it, you're not going to be able to release it to the public. So I feel like there are going to be some rules and regulations that can effectively handle this. I feel there will be some. And
yeah, but like Michaela said, it's not going to be until it's too late.
No, there's going to be some problems before it happens. But they'll see. It'll run its course, and, then they'll fix it. That's pretty much how it always works with new stuff.
One of the most interesting parts about all this is the more and more we put about ourselves and the more and more who we are is digitized, we are going to run into bigger and bigger identity theft kind of issues. Not only do they take your voice, but they take your face, they take your appearance, they take your information, your
personality,
everything that you've put out there. They can take your bioinformatics. If you use your thumbprint scanner, that data, those data points, exist somewhere and can be stolen.
Guys,
I mean, there's so much that people don't think about
somewhere
when it
out
comes
there,
to privacy.
Somewhere out there, they could be cloning us right now.
Well, if the aliens
Only
had a
you,
jump
Mark.
start, we are giving them all the information they could want.
Yeah. I mean, literally, we already give everything they want to them on a silver platter, and there's not really anything we can even do about it.
Yeah, and there's no way we can release this reliance we have on technology, but I think we need to get smarter about it.
Definitely. It's the concept of, just because we can doesn't mean we should.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Yep. So, altogether, I would say that currently the concept of this, I would describe it as madness. What do you think, Aaron?
I think it is time for
Movie Madness Monday! Movie Madness Monday!
So, just in case you weren't sick of my voice yet, guess what? I got one more story, guys. Don't worry, though. This one's short.
Yes, he has leaked through Mark's multiverse into Movie Madness Monday?
I'm sorry, okay?
You started off with 2 stories. I gave you 2 stories. Now you've got 4.
I'm sorry.
Continue.
Anyways, basically this was about YouTube. I'm sure you guys have been watching YouTube before, and you're about to watch like a really cool video, something funny or a music video or something like that. But oh, look, you gotta wait like 30 to 45 seconds to let this ad play through, right? Sick of having to go through that 30 seconds? Well, good news. Google's gonna scrap the unskippable 30-second advertisements that sometimes play before YouTube videos. The bad news is that it won't happen until next year. Shorter ad formats, such as ones that can be skipped after 5 seconds, will still remain, but it remains to be seen how this will impact YouTube Red, the streamer's paid subscription service, a selling point which is ad-free. To the surprise of no one, most users are not fans of YouTube ads. In a survey done by Accenture last year, over 80% of respondents from various countries said that they thought their online video watching was interrupted by ads too much. It's possible that Google is making the move after feeling heat from Facebook, a company that's been focusing more and more on video content in recent years. That's all there is to that. But still, I think it's great that they're shortening all these ads. I mean, it's probably one of the most annoying things when I'm trying to show somebody something that's cool or funny on Facebook, or not Facebook, YouTube. And I've even checked out this YouTube Red before, and it's basically like you download it, and it's like a subscription, and basically it lets you play YouTube in the background. For example, if you want to listen to a music video, but every time you exit out of YouTube, it cancels out the music video. This lets it play in the background.
Well, that was the big selling point of YouTube Red, was the fact that, you're like, oh, I want to listen to a music video in the car. Then you turn off your screen and it shuts off.
Exactly. So that's why they started doing YouTube Red, and they did it as a money scheme too. They make people pay for that service, which honestly, I don't like it. But as a consumer, I don't like it. But from a business standpoint, it's really smart.
Well, it's kind of like the Disney Vault. Nobody loves the Disney Vault, but it is one of the best marketing schemes that has ever been invented ever in our lifetime.
Definitely.
So I have a small confession to make.
What's that?
You pay for YouTube Red?
Kayla, and I'm a YouTube Red subscriber, but I have a really good reason.
Hey, you know what? No, listen, it's
understandable. Google Home device.
It's understandable. Yeah, Google Home device, there you go. That's a good reason for it. Or
it's a key factor in the reason why I pay for it is the fact that I can very easily stream music, and it picks the right music based on my YouTube music habits. So it is useful. It is a pretty smart software, YouTube's music algorithm. But I don't know that I would recommend it to somebody who's just getting it for an ad-free experience.
Right. Like, I never said that like YouTube Red wasn't worth it. I personally don't have it, but that's because I find an alternative means. However, I definitely support the idea of YouTube Red. As a consumer, I don't like paying for a service, but at the same time, from a business standpoint, I think YouTube Red is a brilliant idea. It's an easy way to make good money, on a service where most of the money they make is either going to be off of that or their ads, And if they're with the YouTube Red, or cutting down these ads, that's cutting down the ads is going to reduce some of their money income, because that's how they make a lot of their money. So it's like I feel like YouTube Red is possibly going to be the main income source, but at the same time, there's going to be less of a need for people to download it because of its ad-free aspect. So I guess there's a lot that remains to be seen about it, but I guess we'll see with time.
I was going to say, I don't know anybody that would download it for the ad-free portion.
No, if I were going to download YouTube Red, it would be so I could listen to whatever music I want at any time.
Right. That's the major selling point of it. And like I'm not going to ever pay for YouTube Red. Just because I've got other means of getting music and cool videos, and I don't mind sitting through the 5-second or 3-second video. The problem that I have is that they're like, okay, well, no, we're just going to scrap this idea that we've had for years that have worked and just make you watch the entire ad.
Right.
And that's where I'm bugged by it. Because don't get me wrong, I am one of the people that will watch the Super Bowl. I don't watch a football game. I watch it for the commercials. But when I'm, that's when I'm watching TV. When I'm on the internet, it's kind of like Hulu. Like, I would never pay for Hulu because there's ads everywhere.
You can get ad-free Hulu. It costs extra, though.
See, but that's kind of, and then I've heard it's not even really that ad free.
I don't know. I mean, personally, I have
you
Hulu
have to
and Netflix.
balance it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
personally, I mean, I have Hulu and Netflix. I mean, like $7 to $10 a month per service isn't really a lot for me. I'm not really too worried about it.
You don't have a house yet either.
That is true. But either way though, I like having both services. I like Netflix. I use Netflix a lot. I also use Hulu a lot. And they're both great services. And I also have my Amazon Fire Stick. I have so many means of streaming that it's ridiculous. But I can watch just about whatever I want at any time. So I mean, yeah.
One of the things with YouTube Red that I've noticed a little bit more is that they keep recommending these YouTube Red original shows. Guess what that sounds like? That sounds like Netflix original shows.
I think Hulu
It sounds like they're trying to get in on that market.
I think
And it's a
Hulu
very
even has
interesting
originals
way.
now. I think Hulu
Oh,
even
yeah.
has now. Yeah. But
Yeah, but they're trying to get in by utilizing the YouTube stars that already exist as actors, which is interesting, and I'd like to see where it goes. But I'm not so confident it's gonna beat out their competitors.
I don't think it's gonna work. Because you've got these YouTube stars, but that's exactly what they're. They're YouTube stars. They were famous because of something they did, something they knew how to do. How to make a good video. They're not necessarily actors and actresses.
mm-hmm. But at the same time, I feel like in this day and age, YouTube is a big enough entity that, in a worst case scenario, they don't even have to worry about going out of business. I don't think. YouTube is such of a significant part of our society at this point. Like, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah, but like I said, YouTube is full of cat videos and dog videos and
Music videos.
how-to tutorials and YouTube videos, and there are mainstream things like you've got Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel,
YouTube,
all those guys, clips of movies.
YouTube is the source of the information I used to be able to fix my laptop screen by myself last week.
I think we just lost Michaela.
I think so.
Are you back?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yep, I'm back.
Okay.
But anyways, yeah, like I said, one of the reasons I couldn't do the show last week was because I was unable to do show prep because my Chromebook screen shattered. I don't know what caused it, but I opened up my screen one day and it was just all
Well,
snapped.
usually there's a hard impact that is
Okay,
going to...
but I'm not sure where the hard impact came from, Aaron. Either way, I ordered the new screen for like $20. It came a couple days later, and I looked up a 10-15 minute video on how to replace a screen for our Chromebook. I looked up the model number and looked it up. And it was literally a walkthrough. I replaced my screen all on my own, saved myself $100, which was nice.
But that's my point. YouTube is a tool at this point, along with, they've got some pleasure videos. But there's not that many YouTube stars that are...
I don't know. I feel like the pleasure videos are somewhere else.
Will you stop?
Sorry, I had
No, but I'm saying, they're full of how-to tutorials and things like that. Yes, you have people who know how to sing, and that could get into the music industry, and you have people that have been discovered through YouTube. But I don't think you have too many actors and actresses, or ones that are well known enough to be able to have your own series and shows.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're really good at being live, right?
Yes.
And so they tend to flock towards media like Twitch, where it's live streaming, rather than these hugely produced videos that take a lot of work and a lot of planning. And with the rate these people pour out content, those production sets, those take too much time. People will get bored. People will feel like they're not getting enough. They are more and more demanding. And it's that demand that has kind of made this live platform much more preferable. So them trying to move away from that, I don't think is a positive move for everyone. I'm not saying it can't be done, but I just don't think that this is the right crowd in the right direction.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I guess the only thing we can really do is see what happens, though. I guess they're going to do what they're going to do, and if it goes well, then yeah. But I don't know. I don't feel like this is going to be a permanent step for them. I feel like they're going to make some other sort of.
I feel like they're just gonna.
Change
It's
or
gonna be
innovation.
something that they're gonna try and they're gonna fail because people don't go to YouTube for movies, TV shows. They go to YouTube for channels that they like, which are essentially some of them, yes, are like series, but it's kind of like I don't know. It's kind of like Kay and Peele. They did a whole bunch of YouTube videos and they became famous that way. But when they actually got their show, I heard it wasn't nearly as good as it was when they were on YouTube.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely different.
So
I guess it is what it is. We'll have to see how it goes firsthand.
you know what's different?
What's different?
The new Power Rangers movie.
You know what? I gotta say the new.
And
Yep, Power Rangers. It's
good
coming
stuff.
out very. When is it coming out now? Very soon.
it is coming out, I think, next month.
Next month.
Well, no. When's Beauty and the Beast coming out? It's Beauty and the Beast is coming out this month, actually.
So yeah, it's next month.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, I keep seeing trailers.
March
and stuff like that.
17th is when Beauty and the Beast comes out, so it's going to come out the weekend after that.
So it's coming out in like the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it comes out just as soon as I get out of Shudokan.
Yep.
So, which I'm looking so forward to. But anyways, yeah, like I've been kind of back and forth on the fence with the Power Rangers movies.
Why?
I mean,
Why? What's wrong with it?
nothing.
Everything that I have seen. Okay, we've had
It looks
a video.
good. No, it really looks
Like,
good.
there was a video I was freaking out about
For me, it's more of a
not
matter.
too long ago, and it was literally they took footage from the new trailer, and they took the song that I just played, and with like all the talking in it that they had in the original. So they really, literally took the audio from the trailer of the old Power Rangers, stripped that off, paired it with footage from the new one, and it was phenomenal.
I'm not saying it's not going to be amazing.
That's exactly
For
what
me-
you're saying.
No, for me, the concern is whether or not I'll be able to find the time to do it. I really do want to go see it.
Well, then you have to find the time to do it.
Well, then fine. I'll try and make time to go do it.
What about you, Michaela? Are you as psyched as we are?
I'm not sure.
Why?
Power Rangers when I was growing up because
Well, first of all,
I don't know what I watched. I watched Bear in the Big Blue House when I was really little, and then I just went to Pokemon. And I'm part of that generation that kind of skipped a lot of the action children's movies. And so it coming into an adult's movie is like, I have a clean slate. I don't have an opinion really either way, so I don't
Good.
remember the cheesy old Power Rangers. So
Good.
this might be a good thing.
Yes, it is. Because the old Power Rangers was very cheesy.
it was very, very
and
cheesy,
it's
like
funny
the
because-
cheesiest.
Because there's a, like I said, there was actually when they did that video of they took the new clips and the old audio, they played the old one and then they played the new one, and you could tell there was a huge difference. Now, one thing that I still think to this day was dumb, and it was just some controversy that they wanted to stir up,
Was
was
it about the
fact
breastplates?
it was about the breastplates.
And the
Did you hear about that,
heels?
Michaela?
I did not.
So
There was
they were
controversy.
drumming up controversy because the pink and the yellow Power Rangers had boob plates and were
Heels.
wearing high heels.
As part of their Power Ranger suits.
And they said that was stereotypical. But if you
Wait,
look at
since when has any action figure had boob plates?
Wonder Woman,
Yeah, Wonder Woman.
Well,
And
that's
heels.
armor.
She even
Or
has
that's
heels.
supposed to be armor.
well, that's what well,
That's what it is with the Power Rangers. I think the Power
Well,
Rangers.
okay, they're women. They need chest protection too.
But, well,
What's
okay.
the big deal?
So the original Power Rangers,
No,
literally
it's-
they all look the same. Hold on.
Okay.
So they all look the same, okay? So a guy could have fit into the pink or
I
the
see.
yellow, but in these ones, they're a little bit more form-fitting. So you see,
I
like,
see.
the breasts are more pronounced in these outfits, along with...
They're trying to make that distinction.
Kind of.
Okay.
Rather than you don't know who's actually in that suit, and you don't know whether it's actually, like, the these are girls, these are guys.
I think the
and they're
big
making
deal,
that distinction.
I think the big deal with it is just our
The-
people in our society being butthurt about all these little stupid things. You know? Like, I think this is part of that, just our generation or our society, they're just so easily offended. It's almost like they're looking for reasons to be offended. And this is one of those things that they're like, oh, let's be offended by this. I think that's what this one is.
Material is largely different. Spandex doesn't exactly... I mean, it's just a onesie, really.
Well,
this is more meant to look very good on the person. It's like, this is very specific to a person.
Here's the thing. If anything, the new Power Rangers are more accurate than the old ones, because in this new one, it's not like a fabric suit or anything like that. They're actually getting real armor in this one.
Well, before it looked like real armor. It never looked like spandex.
I don't know. Some of them kind of looked like spandex.
The old ones.
Yeah. I mean, I think as far as the concept of what a Power Ranger would actually look like, I feel like the new movie is much more realistic. And the old Power Rangers were obviously, like, what they're known for is kind of being cheesy.
They were very cheesy.
So, I mean, I guess we'll see how it goes. I think it's going to be amazing. I'm going to try and find some time to, put aside and go see it. Because it really does look, at the very, very, very least, interesting. It's going to be interesting.
Well, and I think it's, we're in a time right now where remakes are a huge thing. I mean, we've got Beauty and the Beast coming out. They've redid Pete's Dragon in live action. They redid The Jungle Book in live action.
Well, here's the thing. We live in an age of remakes. They brought back Transformers. They brought back Speed Racer. They brought back just a bunch of stuff.
It's because they're running out of ideas. And the ideas that they had in the 90s that were cartoons were awesome. So they're like, well, now that we have better technology, let's take those and use that and make all these, favorite shows live action. Now, some of them were flops, like Speed Racer was kind of a flop.
Oh, there's G.I. Joe as well they brought back.
G.I. Joe they did bring back. But it's, like I said, it's one of those things where I think they're running out of ideas, but they're also realizing that, these shows were very popular. And they're probably realizing that the old shows weren't nearly as popular, or the new shows aren't nearly as popular as the old shows used to be.
Right.
There was a certain element, I don't know if anybody else has made this correlation, but when I was younger, every show that I watched had some form of life lesson written into it.
Yeah, definitely. Like, every episode of every show had a life lesson written into it.
And what life lessons do you get out of shows now?
Alright. Do you remember the very first Pokemon episodes where it was such a simple...
Yeah.
Yes, I am rewatching...
Resolve the problem.
I'm rewatching them.
Same.
On Netflix.
Same.
Yep. Those were very simple days where they weren't really exploring incredibly... They weren't making things difficult.
For real.
They were exploring very simple issues that younger children could really grasp onto and relate to.
They overly
now with cartoons, they're trying to explore things for almost young adults, where there's this whole other group of people who are still watching cartoons, namely the 90s and early 2000s, who are trying to relate more to these cartoons as they watch them and as they become parents. And some of the stuff flies over the heads of children, and some of it's meant to do that. Some of it is meant to be for the children, and some of it's meant to be for the parents. So they're kind of playing two fields.
Well,
and we see a little bit of that in a lot of Disney movies lately.
Well, I was going to say, you could even trace that all the way back. Disney has been doing that for years, and that's not what I have the problem with. What I have the problem with is, like, even if you go back and watch Hey Arnold, okay? They tackled some pretty major things in that show. And they did kind of the same thing. They had a life lesson for the youth of the show. But they had some kind of adult jokes hidden inside, and adult lessons also.
Well, I feel like a lot of Nickelodeon did that.
A lot of Cartoon Network did that, too.
Yeah, Cartoon Network did a lot of that, too. But, now it's like, instead of, like, these quality lessons, like, they just overcomplicate things these days.
I feel like we also got a lot more sensitive to what's watched. Like, a great example is Looney Tunes, okay?
Oh, that conversation. Yeah, you know what, that's... Looney Tunes...
do you know why they originally took it off the air?
Was because it was too, quote-unquote, violent.
And to my point, or the point that I'm trying to prove is that we've become too parents aren't parenting. They're saying, oh, well, they're finding something else to blame other than themselves. Oh, this is too violent. This is why my kid's turning out this way. Or this is why there's all this. No, it's the job to the parent to say, listen, this is a TV show.
Right.
This is not real. You need to be able to make those distinctions with your children, not just say, oh, well, this is too violent. This is causing, blah, blah.
It's like, hey, you see this?
We don't need it.
do this.
Well, and it's like they were writing in letters, and that's why some of these shows got canceled. And now they're bringing them back because most of the networks are realizing, most of the parents are realizing, oh, well, maybe it was us and not actually the TV shows.
Right.
So I should probably mention that there's a huge spike in this seeing is believing fear lately, because research has shown that a lot of people will believe the first thing they hear, even if they find out later that it's not true.
I believe it. That's pretty much the basis of scandals.
Oh, yeah. And so things get perpetuated. Even when people aren't too sure about it, they'll still hang on to that first, what they think is fact, that first bit of information, and that's what they discuss, not whatever they find out is real. And it takes a real hard conscious effort to change that.
Right.
And they've noticed that it's about 80% of people who it might not be in any malicious setting, but you end up repeating false information. And that's why there's a lot of this concern that, we had the same thing when video games were first becoming big. Oh, my children are going to see all that violence and they're going to become that violence. It's not necessarily, it's not true. Studies have proven vastly otherwise. But it's that fear that if they see something that I don't want them to believe, that they're going to change their mind. It's that if they see that before I can tell it to them, then they're going to make their own opinion, and I'm not going to be able to change it. There's a lot of, we're giving children a lot more information at a younger age than we ever have been before, and this is kind of a bit of a growing pain. We're still learning how to handle it. We're still learning where we should set the limits, how we should set the limits, what we want to do, and everybody has a different opinion about it.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
you know what? That is a really good way of putting it, though.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But like I said, but if you notice, a lot of these shows are coming back. Like Looney Tunes, it is back on the air now. It's in syndication, but it's back on the air. And they're trying to, now I got really mad when they did this. They tried to reanimate Looney Tunes, and now they just look dumb.
Oh, yeah.
But they're realizing pretty much what you just said. The fact that, they're realizing, oh, well, this is kind of a fear that the parents like, oh, well, they're going to learn this, and nothing I tell them, they're not going to listen to anything I tell them.
It's kind of like the same thing with like old Teen Titans versus new Teen Titans.
Or the video games. Video games, a lot of parents are like, oh, well, but you shouldn't play violent video games. That'll cause you to do this. And there has been research since proving that wrong. Now, there are good things about video games. Like, it vastly improves your hand-eye coordination. There's actually, there are some military forces that use video games, like Call of Duty, Black Ops, things like that.
Simulators, yeah.
Well, not even just simulators, just literally playing the video game. Because it enhances their hand-eye coordination so much that it's a good training. I met a guy the other day who was in the military, and he says he plays video games, and he has noticed when he goes shooting to the range, he has noticed a significant improvement
in his accuracy.
In his accuracy because of that
The
hand-eye
action
coordination.
timing, yeah, all of that.
So, we're starting to realize how important that hand-eye coordination is, and I think that's why some of these video games are becoming more acceptable. Is because we're learning that it's actually helping us more than it's hurting us. You know what I mean?
It's not really hurting us at all. There was a study done that showed actual violence, footage of violence to people who played these really ultra-violent video games, and their reactions to it is totally different. When they see it in a video game, it's one thing. They know how to categorize it as this isn't real, I know this isn't real. And then when they see it in real life, most of them had even worse reactions than people who didn't play violent video games. Like, they could not watch it. And that was very interesting to me, because this is true even as violent video games have become more and more realistic.
Well, and I think the same thing could be applied to violent TV shows, whether they show the blood or gore or anything like that. But I feel like even from a young age, you have this separation, of this is not real, this is real. And your reaction is based on that, okay? You see graphic photos of something that actually happened, you're like, I can't look at that. Versus...
Empathy, yeah.
Right, so versus, Bugs Bunny getting thrown off a cliff, or Wile E. Coyote or Roadrunner or any of them getting thrown off a cliff, and you just see a sign, oh, that's fake.
Yeah, exactly.
How many people have you met who cry when a character dies or an animal in a movie? Cry. Because there's a level of, we know it's not real, but we're still emotionally attached.
Right, it's like
whereas
watching
in
a movie
video games, you don't get emotionally attached to every character.
No. Well, in movies, it's their job to use lighting and sound and picture to make you feel like you're there. And it's also something that's relatable. Like, okay, I went and saw A Dog's Purpose, and it was technically the second time the dog passed away. I bawled. I was crying really hard, and
the first one got me the worst.
And it's because it got, well, the very first one was, yeah. But because I pretty much going through this movie, I'd grown a relationship and got to know these characters. Definitely. And kind of build somewhat of a quote-unquote relationship with them. But I could also, I've been there. I've had a dog that's passed away. I've been there, and it kind of brought that emotion back up.
Same.
And that's really what they do, is they take your experiences. Because if you're not a dog person, you're not really going to go see A Dog's Purpose.
Well,
if you are dogs... Oh, not... Okay.
I know
most of the time.
Yeah.
There are some people who are not dog people, or do not realize yet that they are dog people, that will go and see the movie.
I feel like it's the same concept of Marley and Me.
Yeah. And
yeah.
But like I said, it's it was the fact that I knew that was fake, but it brought back that emotion of when my dog had passed away.
Exactly. It's what's the word? Oh, I had it and I lost it.
You lost a lot more than just a word, Mark.
I've lost a lot of
nostalgic feelings.
Yes.
A lot of the things that you've put aside in the past.
Emotional association. There it is. Emotional association.
But like I said, it's really bothered me over the years that they've pulled shows. They used to pull shows off the air because they were quote unquote too violent. And I'm glad that we studied more into that, and video games too, because now parents are realizing, here's scientific proof. It is not doing any bad. It's actually doing these things, which are all good.
Right.
And now they're like, oh, maybe I should start, maybe it was something I did, or maybe I wasn't, maybe I was just scared, or things like that. It's letting parents have revelations, and the people who are becoming parents see those studies, and, so that makes them go, oh, I used to love this show, and they're allowing their kids to watch what they used to watch, because they have this proof that it's not doing anything bad. It's doing more good than it is harm. And I think that's an awesome thing, because I was really mad when they'd pull all these shows off the air because they were quote unquote too violent. And now, if you, like I said, you see them slowly coming back, whether they're in syndication or remakes, because now we have this proof saying, oh, we can associate at a very young age or at a very old age that this is fake and this is real.
Right.
And that's kind of, I'm kind of happy about that. I think that's a great thing that we've looked into. It's one of the reasons that I really like science, and the scientific method is because we can prove something. Because you could probably repeat that same test of showing the kids pictures several times over, and you'll get some of the same reactions.
Definitely.
But I'm just, we're way off topic. But I love how they're bringing back some of the old series, because now we have that proof saying, like I said, this is not harmful at all. It's actually, beneficial in some aspects.
Right. I mean, like Power with Power. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
You mentioned Teen Titans Go, the remake of Teen Titans, and I would really like to see Teen Titans Go, and bring the old one back, because
that's exactly what I was
awful.
saying. Yep, that's exactly what I'm
And
saying.
the old one was amazing.
Well,
it
it's
was though.
I was gonna say it's kind of like Looney Tunes. If you looked at the new reanimated Looney Tunes, it's like, okay, they can goodbye, and they can jump off a cliff and not come back, and bring back the old Looney Tunes.
Do you know that the Teen Titans Go show, the new one, has even made reference to them being horrible and never going to be able to be what the original was? There was even a reference in the actual show to them being just awful. That's how bad it is.
Probably didn't have a say in it.
They probably did not. It was probably some kind of contract
willing
deal.
to bet.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But really, it's just like,
Yep.
just shake my
The
head.
laments of the movie industry and TV industry.
It's horrible. But either way, I digress. I'm looking forward to Power Rangers. I'm really hoping that it is as good as it looks. Because if it is horrible, then that's just going to be another part of our childhoods ruined. But
Well, you'll have to tell me if it's any good, and then I'll go see it.
okay, sounds good.
Like
It
I
looks
said,
good.
from a lot of the trailers, it looks like it has a pretty steady storyline.
It sounds like it's got promise.
It's got a lot of promise. And like I said, a lot of people were complaining about the suits of armor when they were first released, and I loved the way they looked. I loved how they were more realistic. It actually looks like you said, it actually looks like a suit of armor rather than just some people running around in spandex.
Right. It's like this actually makes it seem more realistic, so to speak,
Yeah.
Like what it would really be if Power Rangers were an actual thing.
They could be an actual thing. Just like Doctor Who could be an actual thing. You never know.
I like to believe in a possibility of the infinite, or a universe of possibilities.
You know what I like to believe in?
What do you like to believe in?
Pirates. That is right. We're going to move on to our next story, which is talking about Pirates of the Caribbean.
You know what?
Which is beating a dead horse.
You know what? I just watched Curse of the Black Pearl the other day, and I forgot how good it was. The first one.
Don't get me wrong. The first, 2 movies are great. Maybe even the third one. They're on number 5.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
I actually like all of them.
It's kind of like the whole thing. I feel like they should have stopped at
first things
4.
first.
They should have stopped at 3.
First things first, Michaela. I don't think. Have you seen the fourth one, Aaron?
On
On Stranger Tides? So. Okay, well, Michaela probably remembers it better. Without spoilers, can you give us a rundown of On Stranger Tides, which was the last one?
I don't want to spoil too much, because there's a lot of key information that in order to describe it would ruin the plot of the movie for you.
Is Jack Sparrow in it?
I mean, all I can say without spoiling
he's
anything
in all
is
the...
pirates.
Good. Sorry.
Who doesn't want to see pirates?
Right. Pirates are awesome. And I honestly, so far, I've seen the first 3, and I thought they were amazing movies. I haven't seen the fourth one, because I figured once a series starts hitting 4, it's either going to be a long goer, or it's going to be beating a dead horse.
See, and I think it's kind of to the point, because they've pretty much, in my eyes, like I said, all the movies are great. They're good, but they're decreasing the more they do. And I'm pretty sure they're getting to the point where they're almost recycling the same idea that they've had for several episodes now.
We'll have to see how it goes. Right now, I've like I said, I watched Curse of the Black Pearl, and I'm going to start watching the other ones, and I'm actually going to catch up and watch the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, because I remember they were really good movies. I feel like they're beating a dead horse, but I want to be able to watch them and experience them firsthand, so I can tell somebody in person whether or not it's good, or if they're beating a dead horse.
Well, the newest trailer for the newest Pirates, so the 5th movie, was just released, and in that trailer it hinted that this was going to be Jack Sparrow's last adventure.
It is or is not?
It is going to be, is what they hinted at. But if you talk to the director and some other people, you may get a little bit of a different idea. The director actually said, it's difficult to ever know that I think that there will always, this is the beginning of the final. So he doesn't think that this movie is going to end it, but is going to end soon. He also said, it depends on how you look at it. But I never take anything for granted. And I love the franchise. These kinds of movies, they remind me of the kind of movies that I grew up with, those kind of adventures that made me want to become a filmmaker. So for me, to be able to be a part of this as a direct as a pirate of the Caribbean is a dream come true. But I don't know if it's the last one or if they'll make another one or another 10 of them. I don't know, but I hope so.
It sounds to me like there's going to be a part 6.
I feel like what they're doing now is, okay, they've done all these movies and they could kind of hyped everyone up. And now they're going to kind of hype everyone down and say, okay, well, starting with this one, it's going to end. And they're going to prepare everyone for that. And I think it really all matters, the success matters on how they're going to end the series.
I guess I'll probably just watch them until they take out Jack Sparrow, because Jack Sparrow is amazing.
I don't think they will. He is the movie.
He is the movie. He literally is.
It's kind of like if Johnny Depp said, well, no, I'm done at 5, they're probably not going to have another Pirates movie.
And if they do, it's probably not going to do very well.
Yeah, so one of the things that I'd like to point out is my biggest issue with the 4th movie was not Captain Jack Sparrow by a long shot. It was the fact that they didn't do a good enough job really getting you into the other characters in the movie.
Right.
And they didn't really build relationships. I mean, I don't think it's spoiling too much to say that there's a mermaid in that movie, and they did not build her character nearly enough to make us care if she was in danger or not, or what's going on with her, or any of the other characters for that matter.
I think...
If they want to take this in any direction past a movie 5, they have to get us attached to another character.
Definitely.
If they're going to end Captain Jack.
Because, there's only a couple characters that I really feel carry heavy significance in the series. Obviously, there's Captain Jack Sparrow. In, the second and third movies, I'm not sure if it was in the 4th one, but there was, no, he wasn't, though, because he died in the 3rd one, but there was, Davy Jones. This is the guy with the squid head.
Right.
There was Will Turner. There was Elizabeth. And I don't think him and her, Will and Elizabeth, they were not in the 4th one, were they?
I thought...
One of them was.
Was it Will?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so I can get into that. Will and Johnny Depp are... They're
pretty much the two main characters.
I feel like they're the key characters of the series for the most part. And
Penelope Cruz played the main character in the 4th movie. So they did try to introduce a female pirate character. And it did do okay, but again, they still did not develop her character enough. And there's no way that anyone can really replace Captain Jack unless they start an entirely new storyline with different pirates in a different location, and maybe tie them in possibly.
See, and I honestly, I don't see the franchise going much more if Captain Jack were to be killed off. I think if they're going to end the movie or end the series, they're going to end it. They may not end it with his death. They may end it with him sitting on an island, drinking, or something like being himself. Well, but I'm saying end the complete series like that, or he could die, and there's several different ways they could end it. But I don't think that they're gonna. I think that they're gonna take it probably 5, 6, maybe a 7. I don't see him going past 7.
I don't see them going past 6, but I don't know.
Well, like I said, if they're doing a whole kind of farewell kind of couple movies, I think depending on how elaborate the storyline is, and to be, I think it would have to be pretty elaborate in order for it to be tastefully done.
I feel like 6 is a nice round number for a saga. I feel like 7 is just too much.
So how did you feel about Harry Potter and the 2-part 6s?
No. There was 2-part 7s.
I feel like
so. It was like there was 8.
That's what I meant.
8's okay as well, but 7 is weird. I don't know why I find it weird, but 7 is weird.
I felt like they could have crammed those into one movie.
No, they couldn't have. The 7th Harry Potter movie, there was just so much in there. They were both,
really
both part 1 and part 2.
I felt like there was parts that they could have cut out that were a little bit irrelevant.
I kind of see what they did. They did the 2-part, 7s or whatever. That way they could capture every detail of how it was ending.
That's not why they did 2 parts. They did 2 parts to make more money.
They might have had a little bit of money motivation, but that's another thing. The longer the movies are, the more you spread it out. And remember, Pirates of the Caribbean is based on book. It is based on a story.
Right.
They can build these relationships that are built in this story and spend a little bit more time on that, spread it out into 1 or 2 movies, and do a really good job instead of this rushed kind of job where I just want to make money, let's put out a 4th episode, a 4th movie.
It's kind
and
of
that's
like
what I feel they did.
it's kind of like certain artists. If you notice, there's artists who will release an album every year, and they have 1, maybe 2 hits on that entire album, versus the people who take a year or 2 and expand their album, work really hard on it. Excuse me. And then they have 4 or 5, almost the entire album are hits. I mean, you look at, and I'm going to go a little bit country though. There's a band called Zac Brown Band. Almost every one of the songs on their first album became a hit because they took so long on it. Brad Paisley, on the other hand, he puts his albums together so fast and puts them out at such a rapid rate, he only usually gets 2 to 3, if he's lucky, hits per album. So movies would be kind of the same way. If you're just pumping out these movies, you're going to lose a lot. Now, if you take several years to do these movies, that's when you're going to add something. Now, this one, I'm hoping it'll be good, because the last movie was done in 2011, which means they're 6 years apart. So I'm hoping that just means that they took their time in creating this movie. So like Michaela said, they can kind of, do 2 really good movies to end this series on, rather than, let's pump out another movie.
Right. I don't know. I guess all we can really do is wait and see. I mean, I for one am gonna be going to see the new one, but first I gotta catch up on the old one. I'm rewatching the first 3. I'm gonna watch Stranger Tides, and I'm gonna go see this new one. I think it's Dead Men Tell No Tales.
Yep.
So, I'm gonna see it, and I'll be sure to let you guys know how it goes. Along with that, I'm gonna have to make some time to see Power Rangers because that looks really good as well.
Okay. So, yeah, I think there's a certain point when they just need to stop, and I'm hoping they're approaching that soon.
Right, definitely. I guess that's all we can really do. We just gotta let them do what they're gonna do and trust they're gonna do it good.
Right. Yeah, I really hope that. But like I said, I'm not sure about any. I mean, what do you think about some of the remake or some of the multiple or sequels that they're doing?
Well, are you talking about Pirates or just in general?
Just in general.
Well, sorry. I feel like Transformers is beating a dead horse. After the 3rd one, they should have stopped. Star Wars, I'm okay with. Yeah, Star Wars is good. I support Star Wars. What other longer wars are there right now? Fast and Furious, I guess they're doing good. They just need to learn. It's too late for them to learn how to name their movies. It's too late.
It's far too late.
They already ruined it as far as naming goes. They can just name their movies. At this point, they can just name their movies however they want, because I'm still going to see it, and I'm still going to complain about the names that are already out. So the damage is done. I like the movies. I don't like the names.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, though, do you want to cover this last topic, real quick, or nah?
Nah, I think we're pretty good. There's one thing that I do want to cover. I do want to cover the, because they're also doing a sequel on Toy Story.
Oh, what is it, Toy Story 4?
It's one Toy Story too many.
I agree. I
think they should have ended with.
They could have ended at 3, and it would have been fine.
The one that made me bawl like a little baby.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have been perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, they could have left it at that, but I mean, I guess there's not really much we can do about it. Again, it's out of our hands. It's out of our power.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, what other sequels have you saw that you necessarily didn't like?
The Conjuring movies?
Yeah.
They're doing this weird series thing with it, where they did Annabelle, they had The Conjuring, they'd had The Conjuring 2, and now they're going to be doing an Annabelle 2, which I don't really support. I wish they would do it differently, because the series The Conjuring is about this married couple. They have this whole room of cursed objects, possessed by demons and monsters and ghosts and all that stuff. And what I thought they were going to do is I thought they were going to do a story for each object. And they started with Annabelle. But then they come around and they start production for Annabelle 2 instead of covering one of these other things.
Right.
And The Conjuring 1 was about a different object in their room. So really, it's just like, why don't you create new content and do something with these other stories? And I guess supposedly most of these stories are based off of true stories. So, I guess I wish they'd spread it out a little bit instead of revisiting the same topic.
Right.
But, shit. Oop, my bad. Pardon my French. Agree to disagree. Not much really we can do about it. So,
yeah.
Apart from that, I can't think of any other sequels that I can't really think of many other sequels at the moment.
I can't either.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're pretty much reaching our end. Sadly, my phone died, and so Michaela, we kind of lost her halfway. So I was trying to get her back so she could at least say goodbye. But like I said, we're running out of time. I can't stretch this out any further.
Right. Either way, Michaela, thank you for coming on. We really enjoyed having you. It's always nice having another person on the show. And sorry it cut out. But, come on again sometime. I know you've been on here before, so, we look forward to having you again. Aaron?
Yeah, I always love having everyone on the show. Michaela's adds an awesome... she just adds a lot to the show, just like you do. And I like both of you on the show. Thank you, Mark, for being on as long as you have been.
Yeah, man. I love doing it. It's fun. It makes me happy. I don't mind the drive. I enjoy it.
A nice long drive is kind of soothing. At least to me.
I'm just used to long drives at this point.
Okay. Well, like I said, I think we're pretty much out of time.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you once again for everyone out there that is listening. Thank you for everyone who's supporting us. This is something, like I said, we do this because we love it, not because we have to. This is our passion, and that's why we do it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have any topics you'd like us to talk about, or if you liked a topic that we talked about and you'd like us to elaborate more,
let us know.
Do more research, or if you know something that we don't, feel free to message me during the show, after the show, before the show. Anytime, later this week, that's fine. Like I said, I always like to take requests on different things you'd like us to talk about. This is your show. So let's make it your show. Let's see those requests. Send them in. Let us know. I'll do some research, and we'll see how it goes. Until next time, I'm Eric Klingsmith.
And I am Mark Wilson.
Signing off.